This video provides a brief explanation of 3 items you will need when developing your company's website. These items are a domain name, website hosting, and an SSL certificate. Let's start with domain names. A domain name is your website's internet address. For example, www.perryproductions.com. Think of it like your company's physical street address, like ours here at Perry Productions, 41 Edgewood Avenue. Your domain name is the address that a user types into their browser window to find your website. Domain names can have several endings, such as .com, .org, .net, and so on. It's important to note that when you register your domain name with a registrar, such as GoDaddy or Network Solutions, you do not actually own the domain name. You are simply renting it for a specified period. You can register your domain name for up to 10 years at a time, although most people pay for 2 or 3 years at a time. It's also very important to note the expiration date of your domain name. Failure to renew your domain name in time could result in somebody else registering your domain. If you plan on keeping your domain name for an indefinite amount of time, it's best to set your account to auto-renew when you initially register your domain name. Domain name registrations or renewals are either paid directly to the domain name registrar or through a third party, such as the agency that developed your website. Many agencies include your first year of domain name registration for free when using their services. Now that you have secured your domain name, you'll need a place to host your website. That brings us to website hosting and the options you'll encounter when choosing a host. To display your website to a user on the internet, your domain name needs to point to where your website physically exists. As mentioned earlier, if your domain name is the address of your website hosting is the building where your website files are stored. All of your website files are stored on a server that is on 24 hours a day to allow users access to your website at any time. Website hosting comes in several forms. The most common type of website hosting is on a shared server, where your site is one of many websites stored on a large single server. This is the least expensive and most commonly used of all the hosting options. Dedicated hosting is another type of server where only your website is stored. Having a dedicated server gives you the most control of your server, but it is also the most expensive option. A virtual private server, or VPS, includes many of the features of a dedicated server, but comes with a smaller price tag. Finally, the last type of hosting is cloud hosting. Rather than relying on the disk space of a single server, it pulls its power from several resources, ensuring no downtime for your website. Most website hosting companies offer all of these server options. Website hosting is normally paid for annually, either directly with the hosting company or through a third party, such as the agency that developed your website. Here at Perry Productions, we provide domain name registration and website hosting free for the first year with a new client. Finally, we'll wrap this video up by discussing SSL certificates. You're probably asking yourself, what is an SSL certificate and why do I need one? Let's begin by defining what an SSL certificate is. An SSL certificate is a digital certificate that authenticates a website's identity and enables an encrypted connection. SSL stands for Secure Sockets Layer. It's a security protocol that creates an encrypted link between a web server and a web browser. Companies and organizations need to add SSL certificates to their websites to secure online transactions and to keep customer information private and secure. In short, SSL keeps internet connections secure and prevents criminals from reading or modifying information transferred between two systems. When you see a padlock icon next to the URL in the address bar, that means SSL is protecting the website you are visiting. You will also notice that the web address begins with HTTPS instead of just HTTP. The S stands for secure. So why should you make sure that your website obtains an SSL certificate? One word: Google. The aim of Google is to become the most trusted search engine. And to do that, Google shows only secure websites in their search results. Let's face it, if your website does not show up in a Google search, your site doesn't exist. SSL certificates can be obtained through your website hosting company or via the agency that developed your website. These certificates are normally renewed on an annual basis. So that ends our brief presentation about domain names, website hosting, and SSL certificates. If you have any further questions or are looking to have a new website developed for your company or organization, send us an email with a brief description of what you are envisioning. You can also follow us on Facebook or Instagram at PerryProSMM. Thank you.